Hey, everybody, it's me. Welcome. Hopefully I'm live here and everybody can see and hear me. Hopefully it's working. It's like I'm broadcasting out into this infinite void. I have no idea if anybody's there. So please comment in the chat if things are not the right level or some weird technical difficulties. Let me know. Hey, everybody, welcome. This is the third live stream for my Morph project. And I'm super excited about this live stream. I've got two special guests. The first one is a less special guest, but let me introduce it now. Welcome. Say hello. Kuri Takara. Wishing you all a happy Halloween. Happy Halloween, everybody. As you can see, I am dressed up as an average audio person. Headphones, that's my whole outfit. I do have a real special guest today, joining all the way from Germany, which is why we're doing a special time on Saturday. It's 9 p.m. Hurd time. So I'm excited to welcome dvdv to the program, and I'll give you a quick update on the project, and then I'm going to do a live performance of her song, which is in the app. So for those who are joining for the very first time or who are watching later on in the archive, I'll give a quick update on what the actual project is. So Morph is a passion project of mine. It is an abstract musical VR experience for the Oculus Quest 1, Quest 2, Rift, and Rift S. Morph is not a game, but it's an artistic, interactive musical experience. Players get to interact with the audio in real time to create a dynamically evolving music environment. The sound is literally all around you, creating an immersive 360-degree spatial audio mix that you get to control and customize. And I've been fortunate to be able to include music from 9 amazing artists who come from the ambient and experimental electronic music background. Artists like dvdv, who's going to join us, Micah Frank, Hurd, Kodomo, and lots of great artists. And so periodically I'll also be posting some links over in the chat on the right. And then I'll also, since those don't show up in the YouTube archive, I'll be posting the links in the comments below. So check those out. So yes, so the biggest update is that the VR project is actually live. It is actually available as a public beta that you can go and try out now. Here is the link to that over in the chat. The app is over on SideQuest VR, and that's where you can download the Rift app for your Mac or PC and run that as an executable and add that to your Oculus library. Or if you have a Quest 1 or Quest 2, you download it also from SideQuest. It's also an itch.io for those of you who might be over on the itch.io platform. And then to run those, you have to go through this somewhat elaborate process of side-loading the app onto your Quest. But SideQuestVR.com has a really great tutorial instructions on how to do it. Seems a little overwhelming. It's actually not, and tens and tens and tens of thousands of people have done it, and that lets you run a whole group of great games and applications that you would not find in the actual Quest store. So it's actually out. It's super excited. I'm starting to get some feedback from that. I've got a Discord server up. If that's your thing and want to come join us there, I'll post the link to that in a second. I don't actually have it in front of me. The app is free, so feel free to try it, and if you can give me some reviews, that would be great. It always helps more people. It pushes me up in the list of music apps there on SideQuest. And then also, it comes with a free soundtrack, and here is the link to Bandcamp. And so all 9 artists that are involved in the project, I created real-time performance mixes of their piece in the VR project, and then I've released those over there, and that's also free. So definitely head over there and check out all the artists. So yep, big news is the VR app is out. And that's a public beta, and so there will be a sort of an official version, a V2 official version, released in early 2021, and I'm going to be periodically giving updates on how that's evolving. Work has already begun. In fact, I think I'll chat with dvdv a little bit about some cool ideas where we're thinking about to put in the next version. And so, yeah, so I think now is the right time for us to welcome our special guests. We're going to wave hello to Phyllis from dvdv, joining us from Germany. And she is just a super talented, she is an electronic musician, she is a singer, she is a multimedia artist, she's an augmented reality clothing designer. I hope I described that right. Really just everything. It's pretty amazing. So let me see if I can actually get her up and running here. And the audio working, and I'm fading you in now. Hello, Phyllis, dvdv. Welcome from Germany.
Hello.
Thanks for making the time to crisscross the internet with me and join everybody and say hello and talk about this VR project a little bit.
Yes, for sure.
So, I think what would be great. So, well, first of all, did I actually describe your sort of talents and skills in the right way? Was there anything I missed? I'm sure there's stuff I missed. Or did I actually cover
To be honest, I lose overview as well. So, but you put like the main things on the right place. So yeah, it's exactly about that. So
I hit all the important things.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm actually over in the link. I'm posting a link right now. This is a link to her link tree, which go there and it's got links to everything she does, all her music and multimedia stuff and visual art and basically everything that she is creatively has her hands in. Check that out. That's got her Bandcamp there also, where she has music. And so why don't you, Phyllis, why don't you talk a little bit about your music? And I do want to say also, we're going to call out a little moment where we're going to welcome our non-English speaking German friends. And she has a little statement that she's prepared in German. Should we do that now?
I can say it in German, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna describe your project in German first. I think that's a good starter.
That'd be great.
Okay. Also, ich weiß nicht, wer jetzt alles Deutsch im Chat ist, aber wer kein Englisch versteht, hier ist nochmal die deutsche Version von dem Projekt. Also, Morph ist eine abstrakte musikalische VR-Anwendung für Oculus Rift und Quest 1 und 2, entworfen von Kasson Kruker. Did I say it right?
You did.
Okay. Ein Audiotechnologe. Morph ist nicht wortwörtlich ein Spiel, aber mehr eine Umgebung, in der die Spielende in Echtzeit mit Audio interagiert. Oh Gott. I'm so much in English and German that I'm confused, but okay. In der das Spielende in Echtzeit mit Audio interagieren kann und dadurch dynamische Musikkompositionen erschaffen kann. Es ist ein immersiver 360° Spatial Audio Mix, welchen man kontrollieren und verändern kann. Das Projekt Morph präsentiert momentan 9 experimentelle Ambient-Songs von innovativen Künstlern wie Symbion Project, Kodomo, Micah Frank, George Hurd, I hope I say them right, ich hoffe, ich sage sie richtig, Yumi Iwaki, dvdv, Matthew Merker, Dispag und Black House Triangle. In meiner Erfahrung ist es perfekt zum Meditieren oder runterkommen. Und auch so für ein bisschen Weltenflucht ist es ganz schön, wenn man nicht mehr gerade so auf Dinge klarkommt, dann kann man sich da ein wenig verlieren und mit den Songs von diesen Menschen eigene Kompositionen entwerfen und sich selber dadurch in eine neue Ebene transportieren. Ja, das ist so die Zusammenfassung. Yes, that was the summary.
Wunderbar.
Yeah.
Danke. Thank you very much. That was good. There's my wife is Japanese, and so I often hear a lot of like English technical terms that are then being used in a different language, and it's always really interesting just to hear how some of the words are either different or some are like they've just been like completely modified.
Exactly the same. Yeah.
They're just the same.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate.
Sometimes, yes, I think sometimes even the English versions, even if there's like a German version of it, the English versions are so much more common that you just prefer to use the English version, so.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Well, I will have to say, one of the things that I have really enjoyed over the years is getting to meet amazing, talented singers and composers and multimedia artists and visual artists. And just because one of us has reached out to the other, and that's exactly what happened with Phyllis and I. We just made contact probably like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago now. I've totally lost track
Yeah,
of time.
I found your video.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then, you just were like, hey, I like this. And you just wrote me and said,
yeah,
hey, I like this. And then I checked out your stuff and it's like, whoa, hey, I like this also. And what's amazing is just you never know, like, who you're going to end up collaborating with over the years. And
yeah,
so to all people out there, make connections, like reach out. And if you just like something, you don't have to, right, just say hello and say, like, I like the thing you did. And maybe that'll be the
yeah,
end of it. Or maybe you'll have like a multi-year collaboration with people. And so you never
yeah,
know.
that's true.
So I really have enjoyed that, and getting turned on to the music you make, and then seeing all the visual work and stuff you do has been really amazing. So I'm honored to have your music in the project. Do you want to talk a little bit about your music, or even just like a brief summary for people about sort of like your creative approach?
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to also say I'm very thankful that you give me this possibility and that you like I'm very honored that you like my music and
Ah,
appreciate it because it's like, like I was like when I found your music, I was like, wow, that's like I think the video you made at this point and then I wrote you. So I'm really honored that you like do it, like appreciate what I'm doing. Okay,
yeah, for sure.
so what am I doing?
Or are you focusing more on music right now, or are you focusing more on the clothing stuff, or what's sort of your passion right now?
I mean, it's mostly just a mixture. Like, depending on how I feel on a day, I focus on different things. Or if I have to work on stuff, I definitely just work. But at the moment, I'm focusing on a lot of collaborations, actually, more than I have done before. Um, so most like I started doing music 2014. I think about 2014, and it was more like ambient, Sybient, drone sound, and the singing just came a while after. After like friends always said, "Oh, I like your voice. Why don't you use your voice a bit more?"
Yeah, yeah.
And then I was like, maybe, And now actually, I have a collaborative EP coming out on the 6th of November with someone who completely produced everything, and I'm really just the singer and the songwriter.
Hmm.
So that's really interesting for me,
Oh,
how
cool.
it's shifting. But yeah, but at the moment, yeah, I'm trying to finish my album finally, my second one.
Ah,
So
yes, right, right, right. And is it complete, and you're just sort of trying to find the right time to release it, or are you actually still creatively working on it?
I still need to figure out the mixing. I still have. I needed to remix it, like not remix, but remix it,
Yeah.
and yeah. So it takes me some time, but I think after I've done that, I'm very positive and very. Can I say? I think I have a very good ground for this album,
Oh,
and
that's great.
then yeah, then it comes to visual stuff.
So your previous album, you released a website that also had visuals for every song. Am I getting that correct?
Yes, yeah.
And so did you find that the visual process and the music process came at the same time? Did one come before the other and inspire the other? How did that happen?
Mm, that's a good question. I think sometimes one inspired the other, but mostly it's first the music and then the visual ideas are coming through the music.
Okay.
Or I have like a 3D project laying around and I realize, oh, this actually fits perfectly to the song.
Mm.
And then sometimes I exchange it, but mostly it's like first I hear the music and then I get a visual idea, or I have something in my head and I look through my files and find like how they could fit together. Or like I search up for like, CodePen or 3GS editor examples, and I find certain animations that are really interesting to me, and I try to distort them and morph them a bit and make them to something that's more like my kind of style.
What do you do all the 3D work, visual work in Unity, or do you work in other programs like Blender or things like that?
So when I started 3D, now I'm not really focused on 3D anymore.
Ah,
But when I started 3D, I used Cinema 4D.
ah,
But for my website, I actually used like for one project, I used a 3D scan of me, and I edited it with 3GS. There's a 3GS editor that was at this time very wobbly. I don't know how to describe it, but it wasn't like built perfectly. So
yeah.
you had to figure out where you can add the code and what you can change so it leads to the idea that you have. It's actually a really nice tool. I can actually link it in the 3GS if it still exists. I have no idea if it still exists.
I'm actually a big fan of programs that get sort of propped up to do this really specific thing, and maybe the program doesn't work super well, but you can at least like figure out how to do the exact thing you want to do. There was this amazing little program that somebody wrote that was basically just an image distorter where it would look at all the different pixels. And then it would sort the pixels on the screen, and every time it did a sort, it would show you a picture. But I realized that you could then export out, every time it did a picture, it could export that out as a new picture. So then I could import that into Premiere and actually turn them into animations, watching the picture, start in its beautiful format, and then get completely pixel sorted into its new format. And I don't think it was ever really built to do that, but it was fun sort of discovering the program and seeing how you could creatively use it.
Damn, that's nice. Yeah.
So, and then how do you produce your music? Do you use Ableton or Logic, or what's your tool of choice?
For me, it's mainly only Ableton, and I mostly use now I use more field recording as well. I add a lot of sounds that I have recorded over my travels or here in Berlin or, wherever I am in Kuwait. And yeah, and next to that, that's mostly it. I just use Ableton and I use certain plugins, and that's about it.
Okay. Yeah, in the so the song that you have in the VR project is called 00033 Happiness. And it actually has, there are some field recordings in there. In fact, I think I've built the VR scene for this live stream performance today so that the field recordings start off. And so I always like hearing those elements in the music. I think there's something really organic about bringing the real world into, especially electronic music, which can often sound so sort of sterile or claustrophobic. Field recordings for me have always really sort of brought in a more organic nature to them.
It's interesting because in the happiness track, I was actually not using my own field recording, but I was using sounds from military jets that I found on YouTube, So it was kind of like this mixture of like feeling this kind of happiness, but also being strangely confronted with war. So I had there were like a lot of like very low bass sounds that are really, really low, and then these military jet sounds that kind of introduce you to it's kind of weird.
Yeah, interesting. We were chatting earlier, and I was intrigued to learn about how why there are 3 zeros and 2 3s in your song name, because I had never thought to ask. So what is the story behind? Because I know in your first album, they all have numbers too. What's happening there?
So when I started music, for me, it was important that I won't criticize myself too hard when I created, because my intent with music, like I never wanted that music loses its magic. And I feel like if you're getting into something more in a structural way and you're trying to figure it out and produce and go into like the whole material, you might get more critical to other artists and more like you will be more critical about the things you digest, like the music you hear and all that stuff. So I was like saying to myself, okay, I try to not do this and stick to the idea that I will release every track that I started and give them numbers. So I have this kind of like chronological order of how many tracks I have, but at the same time, I don't want to delete them. So I don't want to make them disappear because it's part of my process, even if it's like really badly produced and half, not perfect. It's just my process, And so the 5 digits is kind of like me thinking that I could possibly make so many tracks that the 5 digits will be filled out at some point. But it's like counting up, 0001, 002. And the happiness track is my 33rd track.
33rd. One of my favorite numbers. Anything that's 11 based is my favorite.
Okay.
Oh, well, I love that. That's, it makes me think about what you said, which is like, even though there is music out there that you put out that you maybe are not the most proud of, it's important to have that sort of documentation and that sort of historical legacy there. Because one of the things I'm really interested in is just watching artists' progression over their career and how they evolve and what kind of music they get into, especially when they are very, inquisitive about pushing their music into new areas. Like for me, I started making essentially bad synth pop and bad techno. And then I veered into down tempo, and then I went back to techno, and then I went to song-oriented stuff, and then just a few years ago, I got fully sucked into ambient music and electroacoustic music, and it's just, I think it's fascinating to be able to go back to the early stuff and hear what you like, hear what you don't like, hear what other people like. I'm always fascinated when I find somebody who has listened to like my first album, and they're like, "Oh, I love this track," and I'm like, "Oh my God, really?" I hope to never ever hear that again. But it's good because again, remember what we make the music for us, and then we give the music to the world, and then other people will like certain things, and I think it's fascinating. So I like your GUID user ID timestamp song name methodology. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
Well, I want to get to the performance soon, but I do want to give you a chance to give any other updates you want to give. But I also do want to hear, maybe speak a little bit about your clothing project.
Mm-hmm. So okay, I don't know where to start because it's still in the work in process. Work in process. Is this the right term? Work in process or work in progress?
Progress. Yep.
Oh, okay, work in progress. Yeah, it's still a work in progress, but certain codes that I painted on, I implemented into a Unity app where you are able to hear certain sounds and animations when you are holding your phone towards my code or the painting I made. And I think it's hard to explain. I think...
well, it's basically, it's an augmented reality, right? You're like looking through your phone or a tablet or something that has a camera.
Yeah.
And this app, you're able to actually, do you basically do all the, you're using paint? Is that what you're using?
Yeah.
So you paint the back of the clothing, jackets, and maybe other clothing, and then you're able to photograph that, and then Unity will store that essentially as the QR code?
Exactly. It's kind of like a QR code, but it's more, Unity has their own extra app for that, or not. It's not from Unity, but it's like an extra company that's called Vuforia. And they are doing this technology of QR codes, and you are able to put those images up there, and they need to have like certain specific, they need to follow certain, because they need to be like very organic or some way that the app can recognize it afterwards,
Right.
And then you can use this as like a marker that where Unity automatically knows, okay, this is like a plane and it moves, and so it automatically makes the 3D objects you put on there move as well. Yeah.
So that Unity can grab the live camera feed and get some
Yeah,
like some spatial information so that when you begin the animation, it feels locked to the object in the real world.
exactly.
That's super cool from what you've posted on Instagram. In fact, after this, you should post on Instagram because I think that's where you're posting a lot of that stuff, or at least where I've been
Yeah.
seeing it. So this is something where you can actually buy the clothing, right? Like you sell the like really beautiful artistic clothing, and then is the app still in progress, or can people actually try that out?
Yeah, so that's the thing. I'm still trying to figure it out. I actually need a different computer so I can finish this
Uh,
because currently my computer is not the perfect base for making this work. Because I wanted to stay in Unity, but now I'm considering maybe different programs.
yep.
So let's see. But the good thing is everyone who buys a jacket or a coat or a marker or like a patch of me, I can always implement the augmented reality later on.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like something that's gonna work for everyone who ever bought something.
Right, yeah,
And
because you can scan the artwork that you create, and so
exactly,
even if somebody's wearing it in somewhere else in the world later on, that'll be inside the app, and they can try that out. Yeah. Oh,
exactly.
that's great. Yeah, that's really cool. I love that. Like the idea of it to me, that's one of the most interesting aspects of augmented reality are taking a piece of physical art in the real world and then elaborating on it in really cool digital ways on top of it. And
Yeah,
I love that stuff. And I know that iPhones are getting better at it with depth sensors and LiDAR and all that cool stuff. So
yeah.
I just think there's going to be this amazing increase of just cool creativity happening that's bridging the real world and the digital world. So thank you for getting in there and making more experiences.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So yeah, you should yeah post a link to your Instagram or wherever people I mean, I know it's in your Linktree link, but
Yeah,
just be like, hey, if
I
you want to check
can.
this stuff out, and here's where you can
Yeah,
get your clothing, the jackets and stuff.
yeah.
Um, cool. Well, so I want to transition over. Is there any last things that you want to say to the world, or should I make some
Yes.
music?
I have one more thing. I'm very excited for the coming release after this one,
Ah,
where
great.
we have another track that you worked on from me. And I was like, maybe there will be some ways that I can adjust and change the 3D objects that are floating around and make it work. Let's see, like, so I'm excited for that progress. And I'm trying to, yeah, if we figure this out, I think it will be just amazing.
Yeah, one of the things about the Morph project, for those that haven't seen it, there are videos you can go and watch on YouTube. But of course, watching it stereoscopically in VR is a completely different experience because, of course, you're seeing it in 3D, and 2D
Mm,
videos of 3D are not great representations of VR. But one of the things I want to work on for what will be the next release is a way to have there be more art customization that is aligned with each artist's song that's in the app. Right now, the
mhm.
art all comes from two people. My friend David Bogdan, who I worked with at Harmonix, who created all the 3D objects, and then this amazing Japanese generative artist, Masaru Fuji, who created all these beautiful JPEGs that are mapped on the walls.
Yes.
And they're beautiful looking, but it just means that when you then load a song from an artist, the visuals are not very customized to that artist themselves. And so
Yeah.
because you of all the artists are perhaps the most visually inclined and have done 3D work and shaders and lighting and all that sort of complex stuff in animations, I think it's going to be really interesting to see if we can find a way to sort of like recreate the environment to be closer aesthetically, for the kind of environment that you would make if you were doing it yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I
I'm
mean,
very excited about
yeah,
that.
at the very least, I would love to be able to bring imagery in, which is basically just JPEGs and things of that nature. So, at the very least, we could start to like skin the objects or skin the walls with visual art that like 2D art that's closer. But I think the big win is to be able to go into the 3D objects themselves and change those around. So, I hope we get an opportunity to do that over the coming months.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
It's tricky, right? Because you have to really have the VR headset so that you can try out the art and then put on the headset and be like, oh, this looks great or this doesn't work. 'Cause
Exactly.
I'm really surprised in Unity, like when I'm doing something like what works, what visually looks good or doesn't look good, and then until you put the headset on. And then the hard part, of course, is that especially with the Quest, is we have a lot of GPU constraints to hit 72 frames per
Yes.
second, which has been very challenging. Um, so yeah, so that's one big thing that I'm working on is how I can work with you to like customize art. And then I've been thinking about the different features that I want to add for the subsequent version. And the main area for me is I want the objects to feel more reactive, so that when they bounce off the walls, that the walls, they don't just bounce off the wall and do nothing, that the wall reacts to the bounce in some way, or that when the two floating objects, the ORPH objects that are the different tracks of audio, bounce on each other, there's like a visual effect and an audio effect that happens. And so I've been doing a lot of thinking about that and actually doing work in Unity to test out some features. So it'll be fun to have updates in coming live streams.
Yes, for sure. For sure. I'm really excited for everything that's gonna happen. So
yeah, I really hope that this project is not just something that gets released and that I move on from, that it's an organic process that can evolve over time and even bring different artists and different musicians and different Unity programmers together to like create sort of an ever evolving piece of art.
yes.
Well, cool. Okay, so I think maybe this is the right time to actually segue over and do a performance of your song called 00033 Happiness. What is the name of the album that it's on?
The album was called I Am, but AIM. I was like trying to focus a bit on what artificial intelligence means for us. It doesn't mean exactly that I used so much neural sounds or sounds from like a machine learning thing, but it was more me trying to imagine how it would be like if I would be like a mixture of AI and human.
Ah, very cool.
That's it about, yeah.
Nice. So, so the song is 00033 Happiness off of her album. So I want to thank Phyllis from dvdv joining us from Germany to talk about her music and talk about this VR project, and maybe she'll come and join us on a future live stream, especially if, when the next version comes out and we've got another song from you, we can talk about that as well.
For sure. Thank you.
All right, great. Everything. Well, thanks again for joining. Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Gute Nacht. That is.
Gute Nacht.
I know to say that. I know Eingang and Ausgang, in and out.
Eingang, Ausgang, yeah.
When I was, the last time I was in Germany was quite a while ago, and mostly we were traveling. It was with my band Freeze Pop, and we played a show in Amsterdam, and then we were up in Groningen, which is on the coast, but near Germany, but up on the northern coast. And then we drove, but we never played a show in Germany, which is a bummer. So I've been to Germany, I've been to Stuttgart, and I've been to the Black Forest, which is super beautiful. But I've never been to Berlin, and so I need to. And I've been to Gamescom, which is the big video game convention. Do you know where that is, Gamescom?
No, I have no idea.
But
I always heard of it, but I never know where in Germany it is actually.
It might be one of those things where they change cities. I don't really know, but I went to Gamescom maybe about 10 years ago, and it was amazing. I mean, it was the biggest trade show I'd ever been to. In the US, there's like the Game Developers Conference, which is for developers, and then there's E3, which is for press and rolling out games. But I think in Europe, Gamescom just merges those two together, and so there were hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people there. It was mind-blowing. Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, nice. So I hope to get back to Germany again, and it would be fun to come and actually see you in person.
Yeah, that would be really nice. Well, damn, Libby Cherry Cola knows your Freeze Pop band.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, yeah. I started Freeze Pop in 1999, and then I was active in the band and recorded 3 albums and a bunch of EPs until about 2009. And then they actually just released an album. So they just like a month ago they released their 5th studio album called Fantasizer. So for any Freeze Pop fans out there, they have new music. You should go check it out. All right, cool. I'm gonna go do a performance. So I'm gonna mute various feeds here and start other feeds. Thank you again, Phyllis, and we'll talk.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon. All right, let's.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.